Hello, welcome back to the channel. In this episode, I'm going to go through, in as much detail as I can, of how to measure for a new staircase. So let's imagine you've ripped out your old one and now you want to buy a new one. I'm going to go through the points that I would go through in order to make sure it fits. And we use a company called Stairbox. They're really helpful. They've got a great website. They've got a really good piece of software on their website. You can input all your measurements and you can even ask them for live help. So I'll start now, talk you through the basics that I would start from and then get my measurements together. This is our stair opening then, and you would have already seen this on the last episode. If you haven't, there are two episodes already in this series. Why don't you go back and have a look at them? And they're on the screen now and now. We're going to get our measurements now for our new stairs. The main things that you need is your finished floor height, which is up there with the chipboard on, and this finished floor height. So we need to measure from here up to the top of there. That's one measurement you need. You are going to need this measurement between your walls, and depending whether you're going to have null posts or what have you, there is different measurements to have, and I've already alluded to the fact that you could just go on to them, live chat, and they will talk you through this. But I believe it's 50 mil, I think, but I shall check. I'll get this measurement. I'll get this floor to ceiling measurement. You have to put a measurement floor to ceiling, so it's from there to the underside of there, allowing for plasterboard as well. That's another measurement you got to put in. And then you also got to know what it is from the face of that trimmer, to where your stairs are going to finish, which is here, in our instance. Because what we've got is a kite stairs. And what that means is, imagine the width of the shape of a kite. It's angled like that at the bottom. So it means you can start here, and you can go up kites like that at an angle, and then you go up straight. Because if you haven't got the space to put a straight staircase in, this is ideal. You can also get them kites at the bottom and kites at the top to go either way. You can have kites that way, you can have kites that way. You can put landings in to go, it's endless what you can do with these staircases, and especially designing them on Stairbox. Let's get on with our measurements, and I'll talk you through the app as I'm using it, or the software as I'm using it. So I shall put the screen recording on my phone. I will talk you through it as I start inputting our measurements. So let's get on with that. Right then, first set of information that you're going to need to start measuring up for your staircase. We're in a position now that we've got all this taken out. If you have got your staircase in still, then it may be that you've got to do it a lot different. But so I can only really show you this scenario, but I'm happy to discuss it in the comments below, or contact us via email. Give me your details. I'll give you a phone call. I don't mind at all. Bit of a WhatsApp chat, honestly don't mind. And I can explain how I do it if in your scenario, if it's different to this one, which it quite possibly could be. So anyway, moving on, we have got, as you already know from the previous episodes, we've got a new finished floor height, or new finished floor landing now, different position to what it was before. And this is our stairwell now. And we've got a kite wind stairs, so it goes up here like this, 3 kites, and then goes up straight to the new landing. A couple of things you need to check. You can see that I've set my laser up, and it's a 360 laser. If you haven't got one, there are other methods you can use to get things square, but I'm not going to go into them now. There's plenty of videos showing you how to get the 3, 4, 5 method and all that, but I'm not going to go into that now. So anyway, I've got my laser on my new trimmer here. I know that this new trimmer is parallel to this one all the way along, because when I installed it, I made sure it was. I also know from previous episode you would have seen that trimmer is square to this trimmer. So I know that as long as I'm level parallel with this one, I'm going to sit square onto that trimmer up there. Another important point, what you don't want is your stairs going in at an angle and not quite catching one side, because it means you've got to restructure your floor upstairs and it's a bit of a mess. What I want to do now is, one of the measurements you need to get is the face of your trimmer, which is the part where the stairs hook onto on the top, to this wall, which is your stairs length. So the total length of your stairs they're going to be, not at an angle, I mean between walls, if you like, between trimmer and wall. So when it comes down, what that distance is, you need to get that first. I've set my laser up square off here to make sure that this wall is square here, and also that it's not coming in or tilting over out of level or at the bottom. That's what I need to check. Mainly at the bottom is the important part. So if you were to come up 900 or so, a metre, and sort of check at that point, you should be fine. But again, I've already said, go onto the, open up the software on the Stairbox app if you're going to use them, and you can have a chat with them online as you do it. Really helpful. So I've set this up, this is all square. Measure at the bottom now. I'm going to measure at this point, and that is saying 238 to the right hand side of the laser. And that one there is saying 232. So I already know that this wall appears to be coming into this corner, which means that this is my longest point. So when I do my measurement from trimmer to here, I'm going to come in this corner. What I could do actually as well, one on there, 232. What is it up here? Okay, that's 232. So I do know that this is plumb, which means I can now run my tape measure from the trimmer up to there at that height, because I know it's plumb. If it's not, put your laser on and then deduct your measurements accordingly. I hope this is making sense. It's difficult to explain something when you know in your head of what you're talking about. Sometimes difficult, so my apologies if this is making no sense. Please contact me in the comments or email and I'll help you through it if I can. So that measurement's done. I know that I'm measuring to this corner, so I can now take this level up on the landing and then establish a height, which is the next measurement, from the finished floor at the top of the stairs down to this finished floor where the newel and the base of the stairs are going to start from, which in my instance is right here underneath this trimmer, because I've already said to you we've got 3 kite stairs and then straight flight. So I'll set my laser up there and I'll talk you through getting your measurement down to the floor. It's going to be a harder one to film, so I'll have to do it this way. So I've set my laser onto my finished landing, and I know in my instance that from here to my laser is 110 mil. So that's a measurement you need to keep in mind. What you don't want to do is measure from this laser down to there and your stairs be 110 mil too big. Anyway, so I need to bear that in mind. I've already said to you that from my finished floor, that end, I'm going down to here. And my null post, when I looked at the app previously, or software previously, when I was making sure that this trimmer was right far out this way, because I didn't want to mess up my my tread and risers on my new staircase. So I checked that, and when I put the measurements in originally, it's about 900 mil width at the bottom is what I wanted, which then matches the width of the stairs up here. So all I'm going to do is I've measured from there to there 900 mil, allowing for the discrepancy in that being out of square. If you remember, this corner is coming out like this. So square off there, it was 8 mil. So I'll measure 908 mil off there. And then I shall measure from my laser line then, which you can see sitting on there, look. From there, down to the point where the null post and the base of the stairs is going to sit. And that is your finished floor to finished floor height. Now it does say allow for, excuse me, it does say allow for floor coverings as well. This is important if you are going to do something like maybe you're going to put like a stick down oak flooring or something on that floor that's going to really impede on the finished floor height. If you're having carpet and things, then speak to Stairbox and see what they would normally allow for that. But it may be that you just allow a 10 mil difference, and you can sit it on a packer of 10 mil or so when you put the bottom in. And then when you put your carpet in, you're not going to notice any difference in your first riser height, because I don't know if you've ever gone up a staircase where the rises aren't equal. You can trip up quite easy. Likewise, top of the stairs, if you're going to have a hardwood floor or or something different like that, then you may have to change it a little bit. But if you're having carpet, then, you know, I'm not going to say don't adjust your measurements, but just be mindful of that. Because if you put your staircase and you put your nosing in, you're going to have to finish your carpet anyway to like a stair bar if you have something on your stairs. But if you're having carpet on your stairs, it doesn't matter. It just comes straight up and straight across, and you'll never notice a difference on the top. So do that. However, if you're having carpet up your stairs, like 99% of people do in the UK, then carpet up there, up the stairs, and up and over the top, it won't make any difference, and you won't see it. Right then, I'm going to get my measurement from here down to there, first of all, and then we'll look at the next measurement that we were needed. Got my measurement now, allowing for the from here to the laser, which is 110 mil in my case, as I've already said, or I may not have said. I'll measure down from the laser down to my 900 point there on the floor, and you'll see all the measurements inputted into the software shortly. But mine ends up being 2508. Now, be as precise as you can, because it's always going to help you when you come to install them, so they're going correctly in level and plumb, etc. That's what you need. So I've checked this then. I've got 920 parallel, top, middle and bottom. So I'm happy with that. And because I know that's square at the top, then this is all going to work out fine for me. There's a couple of things to be mindful of when you are measuring widths of your stairs. If you've got finished walls either side, that's fine. Just allow a bit either side of it, not 10, 15 mil or whatever, on your width of your stairs, so you can get your stairs in without having to try and get them in tight. That's what I would say. But in this instance, I've got a finished wall this side, even though it's going to be re-skimmed, and a brick wall this side. Now, as you can see there, under the stairs, this has been wet plastered, which is only sort of 1/2 inch thick. But when you do traditional, not traditional, sorry, when you do new plaster work now, generally, a lot of plasterers will dab the plasterboard on, stick it on the wall, which brings it out a lot further than this. Now, our plasterer, Matt, would wet plaster this in no problem anyway, if we needed to. But if we're going to dab it in your instance now, you've got a bare brick wall and you're going to get a plastering, and he says, I don't do wet plastering, he'd dab it on, which may mean that the minimum you're going to get is 25 mil then from your brick wall, because it's 10 mil a dab or so, and then 15 mil of board and skim. So 25 mil, I would say, would be the absolute minimum you could go with a dabbed wall. So you've got to then think from here to this wall, knock your 25 mil off and knock another 10, 15 mil off that. Yes, you'd have a tiny gap down the side, but you're not struggling to get your stairs in. That's what you don't want to do. So just be mindful of that. I need to work in now what I'm going to do with regards this. Now, I spoke to the customer, because as I was filming this previous, I got halfway through what I'm saying now, and the customer turned up. So we spent the past half an hour talking about other projects that she wants me to do. But anyway, they do want a newel post at the bottom, which you're going to have anyway, and a newel post at the top. So I'll speak to Stairbox now and ask them what the allowances are with my width to allow for my newel post at the top. I believe it's 50 mil. So 920, then knock the 20 mil off, and then an extra 50 mil, because the, as you may or may not know, and if I can do a quick crude drawing somewhere, when you got your stair stringer like that, your newel post sits like that, and this gets housed into this mortise and tenon. So the allowances is from here to here. Does that make sense? That'll be your top of your newel post, and this will be your stair stringer that all your stairs fix into like that. Hope that makes sense. There we are. So you got to allow for this gap here, this distance, which is why I've got to come over a bit more. But again, like I say, I'll speak to Stairbox because they're really helpful, and then ascertain what that measurement needs to be. All I have done, I've just put my book back in the van because I got sidetracked because the customer's been here. But I've wrote down all my measurements now, and I've done them all tight measurements, and then again I can confirm with Stairbox what their allowances are, what the tolerances are, and then I can input them into the footage that you will see next. This is the website then, and as you can see on the left hand side here, this is where you put all your relevant information, which we'll go through in a minute. As you scroll down to the bottom, the price on the right hand side there will change when you alter the figures on the left hand side as you move through, obviously on there. And then moving further down, you've got your head height there, which we'll do at the end. I'll go through that. You've got your balustrades, which is your newels, adding all of that. We'll go through that. And at the bottom, when it's a weekday, today's Saturday, as you can see there, that will change. You'll have a phone number there, and you'll also have a reference number, which I've already talked about. When you find the representative, that's what you give them, the reference, and they can look at this screen just like we are now. Right then, on the first one then, you can see there, you've got where you change to suit where you are. We want UK domestic, because that's where we are. Then what we've got to do, we've got to add our floor height. If you click on question mark there, you can see just to check where you should be measuring. And our head height in this instance is 2508. So what I'm going to do now, scroll down the left hand side now and pick the relevant measurement for me. Now these are in 5mm increments, so what I'm going to do is go to the 2500, which then gives me 8mm of clearance on the bottom to allow for what I think they're having floor tiles. Then we need to look at the ceiling height next, is the next thing to do. And if you click on the question mark again there, you can see where you should be measuring. Now, we have got a drop to landing, so I'm measuring for this instance now because I want to allow for the fact how my newel post will be manufactured, but I'll show you that when I start to fit it. So my height is 2290, so I'll find that on this left hand drop box there, 2290. But then what I want to do is change that measurement to 2270 to allow me to put the plasterboard into and cut around the newel. So I'll select 2270. Right, the next thing we're going to do now, as you look down here, is you can see the number of risers, individual going. We'll go through that in a minute. I actually want to look at the width of my staircase next, which at the moment is preset at 865. I already know the width of my staircase, as you've seen before, is 920. So what I'll do, I'll go into the selected box there. I'm a minus the 20mm to give me 900, or 15mm, sorry, for a piece of plasterboard, 905, another 50mm then to give me a total of 855. So I'll select 855, and then that will be one of the last figures that you have to input into this left hand side for now. And then we'll move forward now onto the kites. Now if you look here on the left hand side now, you can see add a turn to the left, which is looking from the bottom of the stairs. So I'll click on that. It now automatically defaults to 4 treads before the winders, as they call them, not kites or winders. So I know I only want 1 after checking the headroom checker on the right hand side there. And then you can adjust everything else after. So I'll click on 1. That then sort of looks like what I need to be. However, if you look at the figure there now, 2635, I need to be maximum 2600. So you can do it several ways. Now, first thing I did was I looked at the number of risers to try and get that figure down to where I need to be. So I clicked on 12. Now you can see now that's way off my 2600mm that I've got maximum from the face of the trimmer to the wall, where that little window is. So you can start messing now with the individual going, which is the actual depth of the per tread, if you like. So if you have a mess with that, you can scroll up and down like I did now, and I can't remember what it was, 2243, I think, something like that, and it brings you something like nearer the 2600. So we'll click on that anyway, and then I need to be about 15-20mm away, 25mm, something like that. So that first off, I clicked on that one there, which is 245, and it's only 10mm, so that's too tight. So 243 gives me 2576, which you can see now is 24mm, which then gives me a gap of 24mm on the right hand side there, off the wall, which when you're dropping your stairs into place is, I'd say that's the minimum you're going to need really to get it into place. So that is pretty much it really. As you can see, it's altered the figures on the right hand side there as you're going. Next thing you need to do is have a look at your balustrades. Now As you can see here, look, highlighted in red is everything you can add on. What's in green is already highlighted there because it's a newel post that will become a standard. I want a newel post at the top, so click on that. Look, it says there, look, green items is what I've selected. If I wanted stair parts, I'll then click on the red parts again, and that will give me things like the base rail, handrail, extra newels, the spindles, but I don't want that, so I shall untick them. I'll then go over to the finished adding staircase balustrade, which will bring me back to the same screen again now. And then the next step is to look at things like the cost, first of all, which is now updated. You then need to check on the headroom checker. Now, this is where the hatched area is telling you the area that you need to make sure that you've got a clear 2 metre head height, which is from the end of your nosing of your stairs, so the very front of your tread. If you remember from the stair layout, 2270 was to the underside of my dropped landing. Now, I know that my actual measurement from the bottom of the stairs there, where the pointer is, up to the actual finished ceiling is way above where I need to be. I think it was about 2.5 something or other, because it's quite high headroom. So if you measure out, in this instance, 1036, you know, and then measure up from that point and see what height you've got, you then need to deduct the actual riser height, because in this instance it's showing from the first riser, which, if you look there, is 208. So let's just say, for argument's sake, to make it a very quick maths, that my head height from the floor to the underside of the hallway ceiling is 2608. I know then that it's 2.4 once I've taken off one tread, so I'm well within the required 2 metres. And that's important for you to do, to make sure that you don't end up with a bit of a tight headroom, and therefore, if you're doing a loft, you wouldn't pass building regs with that. But in this instance, it's a set of normal stairs, but it still needs to comply because it's a new one. And that is pretty much it. When you've done all that, you untick that, takes you back to the pitch that you want to do. You can check all your measurements again and then click on purchase. Once you've done that, then it takes you through to the such things as delivery and inputting your address, and you go through to payment. So I hope that this episode, what is the third episode in the 4-part series, has been helpful to you. Like I said at the start of the video, it was just going to be a couple of little pointers, but it ended up being, as you can see, I don't know how long this is going to be at this video when I've edited it, but I'm just hoping it's of some use to people that are trying to get their head around measuring stairs, even though I've said multiple times now, Stairbox make it really easy, so it's not that difficult. As always though, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to hit the notification bell and like the video if you can. Ready for the next episode, which is the main one in this series, which is actually fitting the new staircase. Now, there won't be any stair parts in that one. That'll be other videos. But I have already got fitting stair parts, spindles, handrails, excuse me, on the channel already. This is the first part to it on the screen now, if you can have a look. And that goes through the fitting of setting out newel posts, setting out handrails and spindles. So have a look at that. Thank you very much for watching, and we will see you on the next one.